Okay, once again, I'm going to try and make this a short video, and I'm going to try and speak quickly. It would be somewhat important, or it would make more sense if you listened to the video, the hour and 15 long minute video that I did a couple days ago, for this to make sense. But you can still listen to it. It's just hopefully you can keep what's stated in context. Again, disclaimer, what I'm stating and speaking of are not warm and fuzzy. They aren't. This is not like a love and light kind of a video. I have very severe statements to make, and some very serious, there are very abhorrent truths that I have, that I now know based on what's been forced on me, what I've been forced to experience and see. So my disclaimer is you should probably take a short read of some of my posts underneath the very short video link. The only other video on here, I made a series of very long posts underneath that video. It would behoove you to maybe read a couple of those posts to get some kind of a context or get you up to speed as to where I'm coming from and the truths that I'm stating. There are reasons why, and those can be found there. This is more of an addendum to the video that I did yesterday, the hour and 15 long video. This is more of an add-on to it, and I'm going to try and speak quickly because I have other things to do, but I want to record it while it's fresh in my mind. Okay, so I will just say, with at this time, there is so much deceit and cons and lies and deception and foul play and fuckery going on this planet and outside of this planet and in this universe. So everything that I've been forced to experience and learn, just know that these questions are things that have arisen in my forced dealings with malevolent entities and demons and parasites, and I've tried to list those questions, and I have also made them, put them in a post on the short video link underneath there for people to look at, and for any humans that find themselves dealing with or coming up against or being forced to deal with entities and parasites and even those supposed benevolent beings. Any and all beings, or any and all, I'm going to call them entities because that's what they are. Any entities that come towards you or that are trying to connect to you or attach to you and are wanting to communicate, and they are trying to get you to communicate by consenting without informed consent. They're trying to get you to willingly consent based on their assumption of your automatic respect and or reverence for them. The reason those questions should be asked are to determine true benevolence or true malevolence, true intent, true energetic and frequency signature of whatever entity or being that you're dealing with. So that series of questions, it would behoove you, since you're the only one protecting you and it's your ass on the line, and a demon and a parasite are never going to tell you the truth. So it's on you to do your due diligence before you give consent, before you allow an entity to access any part of your being. It is imperative for you to ask some questions ahead of time. That way you can determine whether you are going to continue communicating with that entity and or being. Because once you are entangled with a parasite and or a demon, or any other kind of parasitic entity or race or species, you will then find out how hard it is to untangle, disassociate, and disconnect all parts of your being from whatever entity conned you into it, or lied their way into it, or deceived you in some manner because you didn't think or want to spend the time to ask questions beforehand. So these are lessons that are hard learned, and that is the reason for the list of questions. Now, in addition to that, I would like to briefly cover, if you haven't listened to the last video, some of this might be confusing, but I'm going to state it anyway. The entities forcibly connected to me, I do my best not to communicate in any way, shape, or form with those entities, but they are forcibly remote neural monitoring me, which means they are forcibly connected to my neurological signal and my energetic signature via technology against the full revocation of my consent, which means it's 24/7 mind rape. It means they always know what I'm thinking. They are forcibly attached to my mind 24/7 for over 10 years. It's horrific. And they are doing this to many. Anyway, I will continue. Anytime I've had let's just say a feeling and or a suspicion that with all that has occurred, the intentional forced regression and obstruction of universal laws, the intentional forced obstruction and regression of humanity on an individual as well as a collective basis that has been ongoing for many millennia in many civilizations here, for the fact that any kind of organic universal law manifested corrections, remedies, and their corresponding energies and frequencies are also intentionally, forcibly obstructed and regressed, and have been for quite some time, by malevolent entities, parasitic species, using technology, the artificial frequency fence surrounding this planet, in combination with astral technologies and clones. If you don't know that, you might want to either read some of my posts, or you're really not going to find that information too many places. Again, that's one of those things that has been hard learned through much torture and rape. One moment, please. So you're probably not going to, my apologies for the short pause there. You are not most likely going to find that information except for on maybe spiritual blogs from beings who have also had the same experiences in horrific traumas and vile, abhorrent experiences forced on them. That was hard learned over many years. So you might do some research on it. I don't know that you're going to find much on it. Now, because of all of that, I started to question, because of the lack of true benevolent intervention for many millennia here, as well as other planets and races that have already been annihilated by that species via the same methods, I started to question the higher realms, the supposed benevolent beings that channel their information to well-meaning, trusting, benevolent beings here, to so that their information, in quotes, is passed on to other humans down here. And the assumption is usually carried by many that those races who are channeling that information are benevolent and without reproach. That is not the case. Again, another lesson very hard learned. That is not the case. Very few, if any, of those races are benevolent. Many of them are malevolent, masquerading as benevolence. Ergo, the list of questions that I have come up with that should be asked of any entity or being or race of beings or group of beings or the supposed angelics, the archangels that often channel through certain individuals on this planet, any being, any entity, any group. Those questions most definitely should be asked beforehand, before any further communication is done, and before your consent is given. So, as of late, I started to question, because of everything that has gone on and the lack of benevolent intervention and all of the obstruction and regressions of universal laws and universal law corrections and all of the astral realms and astral technologies that are connected with the cloning programs and the artificial frequency fence around this planet. So because of all that, I started to question whether the higher realms that those supposed benevolent beings are operating out of, if they are, because there has been so much rape of things that inherently belong to true benevolent humans here and true benevolent beings within human vessels here, starseeds, indigos, other beings that originate from elsewhere but come here, some of those to assist. So I'm speaking of anything from 4 dimension on. Those are, I've heard of it going to 12D, and then I've heard of it going beyond that. I do not know the actual truth of that. I do not know the actual truth of how many dimensions there are. It seems to vary with different channels, with different beings who claim to be psychic. I started to question those higher realms. And because so much rape has occurred with humans, true benevolent humans here, and the fact that they have been raping frequencies, vibrations, knowledge, wisdom, light, energy, consciousness, frequencies vibrations from true benevolent beings here and uploading them to the AI system. And what has occurred here currently is that there are malevolent entities that are actually wearing and using the energies, frequencies, vibrations, light, and pretty much, I guess, whatever it is that they are able to do within the AI system. They have raped those things, and because that they have been doing this to humanity pretty much since humans have been here, and they have done this on other planets and in other star systems, and totally raped entire races on those planets and in those star systems, their catalog, what they've uploaded to the AI system is, I don't know how massive it is, but those parasitic species have been doing this a very long time, and they have destroyed many planets and races using the same methods. So the point that I'm making is that they've, with the extensive catalog within the AI system of what they have raped from truly benevolent ascended beings, true benevolent beings who have done their, who have mastered certain things, who have come into their gifts, skills, and abilities, their psychic faculties, especially in prior timelines like Atlantis and Lemuria, when those were still very much active. They have done a lot of raping, and they've done a lot of uploading to the AI system. I am questioning how many of those higher realms are actually populated with parasitic entities wearing things raped from benevolent beings via the AI system, via the astral realm. How many of those higher dimensions are directly connected to the astral realm? How many of those higher dimensions have had forced portals somehow engineered or manufactured or put into those higher realms for malevolent purposes, for malevolent intent? Can you see where I'm going with this? Because of the lack of benevolent, true benevolent intervention for this many millennia, and with their intentional forced obstruction and regression of universal law corrections, each planet that they go to parasitize and cannibalize, they install their frequency fences around that planet in order to obstruct true universal law correction energies and frequencies. So, as they have done that for this many millennia, I think it's possible that higher dimensions might have become compromised, as there has been no benevolent intervention. The universe itself almost seems complicit. And I mentioned this in the last video that I did. The universe itself seems like it is complicit in assisting parasitic entities systematically hunt down benevolent, true benevolent life force energy in order to parasitize, rape, and exploit, and cannibalize. As the universe itself, the entity and or being and or beings that supposedly run and operate this universe, seemingly have not addressed any of this, as we are still doing it. There has been no true benevolent intervention, and because of the fuckery with universal laws, again, why hasn't the universe itself stepped in to intervene, assisted? You can't have malevolent parasitic species using technology to forcibly regress and obstruct universal law correction. Otherwise, you end up with a universe that's overpopulated or overrun with malevolent entities. And destroys, threatens to destroy the balance in a universe, which I would also question. It certainly seems like there isn't very much balance left in this universe, considering what's occurring, and considering how many malevolent species and entities are running amok in this universe, using technology to hack into beings via frequency weaponry in a universe that is based on frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance. Why hasn't the universe intervened? Why hasn't the universe corrected or addressed the issue of parasitic entities running amok in a universe without correction? How is it that universal laws has not removed them? These are questions the universe itself should be asking itself. That's why universal laws are there, exist, is to keep the balance in the universe, to keep the ratio of malevolence in proportion to the ratio of benevolence. So I've also questioned whether this universe itself is parasitic, and the universe itself is using unhealed fragments of itself with the combination of technology to go through the universe searching out benevolent life force energy with which to try and rape, parasitize, and cannibalize in order to keep itself, this universe itself, in existence without having to be exposed somehow to universal laws itself. It tries to remain innocent and do things, forcibly perpetrate things indirectly via parasitic proxies, because parasites can just be, they are disposable. So is the universe itself parasitic? Is the universe itself using its own unhealed fragments, and or just using parasites that came from elsewhere? Because that really doesn't make any sense if they are fragments of him. Well, you know, as I'll have to say, with the magnitude of malevolent entities, if he's been doing this and keeping those fragments alive and protected, maybe that's one of the very reasons why the raping is done, is to keep any fragments, parasitic fragments that are actually unhealed fragments of the universe itself, to continue doing its bidding indirectly with technology. So it has unhealed fragments that are parasitic. It sends them out with the technology. And the way that it keeps them, those parasitic fragments, in existence is by raping true benevolent life force beings, life force energy, raping those from benevolent life in order to keep itself in existence, in order to keep itself I guess, and this is in quotes, safe if it, within any kind of proximity, which universal laws should be everywhere, but somehow to be keeping himself safe within universal laws, doing the same thing that the parasitic entities do. They wear and or use via technology what they have raped from benevolent beings. Now, if that's true, unfortunately, I'm getting a strong feeling that I'm on to something there. But the point of this video was to look at the higher dimensions and question whether the higher dimensions are actually compromised. As the benevolent beings supposedly channeling all of their information, I have come to know most of them are parasitic, but present themselves as benevolence, all based on the assumption, all based on your assumption, all based on the assumptions of whatever human that they are trying to get to collaborate with them, to channel their information, to work with them and communicate with them. Usually the human's consent is originating from an assumed automatic reverence and respect, without that human actually asking hard, logical, critical questions of whatever group, entity, or beings that are wanting to, are coming forward to work with them. So if the higher dimensions are actually compromised, have over this long, how many of those higher dimensions are directly connected to the astral realm? How many of those higher dimensions have now some kind of engineered or manufactured portals within them for malevolent intent and purposes? Just how many of those dimensions are actually malevolent entities who are wearing and using via technology and via the astral realms, wearing frequencies, vibrations, energies, consciousness, life force energy, vibrations that they have forcibly tortured, raped, and murdered from benevolent beings on this planet, but on other planets as well, and in other star systems, that they have raped and uploaded to the AI system and cataloged. Do you see where I'm going with this? Is it making sense to you, that line of thought? Please use your critical thinking skills and your logic and your deduction skills and your your deductive reasoning, your contemplation, your extrapolation skills. Sometimes you have to triangulate pieces of information if you don't get a direct answer. If you have a part of something and then a part of something else, and then you have to triangulate in order to get the missing piece. It's a lot of connecting dots. So that's my question. That's the line of thought that I'm currently following, and if others hear what I'm stating and can also follow the same line of thought and use their own contemplation abilities, their own intuition, their own psychic abilities, their deductive reasoning, their critical thinking skills, and their logic. Logic is so very, 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 however many varies, important. Your logic. Logic is truth, right? So use your logic. Even if you don't believe or can't really wrap your mind around or don't think any of the other things that I have stated maybe don't resonate with you. My point is, ask the questions, right? Ask the questions and use your logic and use your psychic abilities and your intuition in order to get in your heart. Always go with what's in your heart as well, to sit with the answers. Are they true or not true? Do they resonate with you or don't they? How much of it is true? What percentage of it is true? What percentage of it doesn't resonate, or what parts of it don't resonate? And then take that and think about it until you find answers that you resonate with, till you get to the truth of those things, right? So that line of thought that the higher dimensions are actually not populated any longer with benevolent beings. They've been compromised. Now, I'm not saying that's true 100%. What I'm saying is that is strongly, for whatever reason, I am strongly resonating with that, with a very sick feeling. That needs to be, I think others need to sit with that and contemplate that and see. We need to figure out what the fuck is going on in this universe. There have been the massive lies, cons, and deceptions that have been propagated on this planet over timelines and in this universe. And we've got all these supposed benevolent beings throwing also perpetuating the same lies, cons, and deceptions. We need to figure out what the fuck is going on this planet and why there has been no true benevolent intervention for this many millennia, why there are parasitic species running amok with technology, with frequency weaponry, hacking into beings against the full revocation of their consent and trying to forcibly I don't even want to give voice to it, but doing all kinds of just doing very horrific things, very abhorrent, vile things that should not be being done in a universe with universal laws that are being forcibly and intentionally obstructed and regressed via technology, astral realms, and clones in an artificial frequency fence. Like, we need to figure out as a race, as a civilization, what the fuck is going on here. And all these supposed benevolent beings are coming forward to assist here. If they're coming forward to assist and help, it means they fucking know why that they're trying to. So what I'm saying is, they're here to help. Okay, well, if they're here to help, it means that they know what the fuck's going on, right? It means they know of the horrific things and atrocities going on here. So why are they waiting to help? That doesn't make any sense. If you're here to help and you know what's going on, then you know that we needed help about 10,000 years ago. So if you're here to help, then why would you be waiting? Why would you be sitting around the planet in these supposed ships? Now, I don't believe any of that, but there's like something called the Galactic Federation of Light that supposedly has ships surrounding this planet just waiting to help. What are they waiting for exactly? Right? We needed help 10,000 years ago. There hasn't been true benevolent assistance in several millennia. What are they waiting for? That doesn't bode well. Why haven't they included any of that information that I've stated in their channelings? Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they? If I, as a spiritually advanced being, if I can move the parasite's violations to universal laws, which only works for about 5 minutes before they forcibly use the technology to regress those things. But if I can do that, any supposed highly spiritually advanced being residing in a higher frequency, on a higher dimension, should be able to take 5 minutes out of their busy fucking day and also be moving their violations as they're forcibly obstructing them and regressing them. Any benevolent being should be able to also assist by moving the parasite's violations directly to universal laws. And technically, if there were more benevolent beings, true benevolent beings doing this en masse, and moving all of their violations to universal laws directly, with the amount of beings doing that, with the high vibration and frequencies that it's coming from, there shouldn't be any malevolent entities in this universe at all. And in addition to that, they could have been helping us indirectly. They wouldn't have had to interfere directly. They could have been doing that indirectly, doing their due diligence as universal laws being forcibly regressed and obstructed, and that would affect them. That would affect their species, their race, their dimension, because it's supposedly all interconnected, correct? So as it would, all of the parasitic species fuckery with universal laws would have to be addressed by them at some point, because it affects everybody. So they should have been moving violations of universal laws that the parasites have been committing this whole entire time directly to universal laws. And we could have had this shit wrapped up long ago. So why aren't they doing that? Why haven't they been doing that? If I can do it, any true benevolent being should be able to also do that and have it stick. In addition to that, why aren't they helping in other ways? Why aren't they doing what they can to disable the frequency fence around this planet? Why aren't they? Instead, they claim to be just sitting in ships around the planet. What are they waiting for? Why aren't they doing something about the frequency fence around this planet? Why hasn't that information been channeled to humans here so we can better protect ourselves, so we can be better informed, so we can do our due diligence and do the best that we can to help ourselves and protect ourselves from the parasites? See, what I'm saying is, you need to really start using your logic and your critical thinking skills and start asking very hard, logical, critical questions of why. Why haven't they done this? Why haven't they done that? Right? Start asking questions. Even if you don't like my list of questions, start coming up with questions of your own. If you are actually working with or communicating with any of these supposed higher races that do a lot of channeling here, if you are actually have been told, or you believe that you are working with any of those races, your next little visit with them, you should really take the time to, before you get into any kind of a channeled message or what have you, you need to be like, hey, listen, before we start doing the channel message for today, I have some questions that need some answers. With the amount of horrific nastiness going on this planet, and you all are actually claiming to be helping, well, if you're claiming to be helping, you must already be aware of the atrocious horrific, vile, and abhorrent atrocities being perpetrated and forced on humanity by the reptilians, by the Greys, by any parasite, by the their human vessel proxies on the surface of the planet, in those groups that you've heard of that are supposedly running the planet, running the surface shit. So if they're here to help, then they already know, right? Don't they? They already know of all the horrific cloning centers underground, what all the horrific cloning torture and things that they're doing with clones against the revocation of consent of the benevolent beings that they're forcing that on. They're actually doing it to the majority of humans here without their knowledge and without their consent. So those groups you're working with, they already know that stuff, right? They're already aware of all that. Isn't that why they're here to help? Isn't it? So yeah, we're going to need some more detailed, thorough, articulate, very precise information. We're going to need some answers. Some very precise, logical, that makes sense, devoid of evasion, devoid of any kind of circle jerk, whacked, whatever, half-truths. We are going to need very detailed, very logical, thorough, complete, articulate answers to those questions. And we're going to need to know. It's not on a need to know basis. We're fucking doing this shit. We're embodied here. We're the ones that's all this shit's being forced on. We need to know. Especially since there's been no benevolent intervention for several millennia. Bitch, we're going to need to have some answers. And we're going to need to have those answers full and complete and detailed. No omissions. No leaving shit out. No half-truths. Which is what they're going to try and pass off. I can guarantee you that. They'll try and give you some half-truth bullshit and then hope that you leave it at that. We're going to need answers to all the questions. All your automatic reverence and respect gets left on the back burner if it's even brought to the table at all. Come in your power, in your authority. If you only knew what they've raped from you, you would be fucking enraged. And you would be coming to the table, standing in your full power and your full authority. Make those bitches back the fuck up. Okay? You have been being raped over how many civilizations? How many lifetimes? How many civilizations have you been raped of your evolution? Right? Enough with the fucking reverence. Enough with the fucking respect. They need to answer your fucking questions. If they're here to help, it means they know what the fuck's going on. And you need answers right now. Right fucking now. No evasion. No fuckery. Right? We need to fucking know. And if you're here to help, then you're here to help. And I need my questions fucking answered. Come to the table standing in your full power and your full authority. Stop dicking around with the automatic on your knees reverence shit. Okay? We don't have time for that. There's no time to be on your knees in reverence to beings who have not proven themselves, who've actually had, there is no record of any kind of manifested correction that originated from any of those races working with humanity. Not on a physical level. Not on a physical level. They have not assisted physically, is what I'm getting at. They'll give their lip service vomit and their half-truths all day long. I want to see physical manifested evidence of their help. Because I already know what the deal is. They're parasites masquerading as benevolence. Because they're wearing and using what they've raped from how many planets, how many civilizations. And that's just in this star system, right? Are you seeing where I'm going with that? Okay, so enough of the automatic respect and reverence. They need to be answering some fucking questions immediately. And what I'm getting at is when you start asking those questions, those hard, logical, critical questions, you are going to find out with only having to ask 2 or 3 questions. You are going to be finding out within 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe, if not less, the beings as in quotes, the beings that you're actually dealing with are really fucking parasites. You are going to find out how quickly that any communications that you've had with them, just be prepared to be facing the fact that most likely you're going to realize that you've been dealing and communicating with parasites, not benevolent beings. And that's going to be a hard one for some to work with. Now, I got to get going. I got other things I need to be doing, but I'm going to quickly just read the questions, at least some of the questions that I've come up with. That way, if you don't want to search for the post on the other video, that's just a link notification, because that's where I've been posting. If you don't really want to try and go, it's only a few down, or a few posts a little bit older, but anyway, here we go. So is there energy, light, high vibration, and frequency that they're showing you, that they're supposedly radiating? Is it inherent? Is it originating within them, devoid of parasitization, rape, torture, murder, directly and or indirectly? Depending on their answer, which should be direct, without pause, succinct, articulate, comprehensible, devoid of lie frequencies or any kind of falseness. Is their answer holding and carrying the ring of truth all the way through it in your entire being, in your entire being, especially in your heart chakra? What is the true purpose of the artificial frequency fence around this planet? And again, if they're going to try and fucking tell you that it's to keep malevolence out, you need to laugh very hard in their face. And you automatically know at that juncture you're dealing with a parasite. Because the reptilians have been here for like how long? Torture, raping, and murdering humans for how long? Below the surface? Yeah, I would say if their reasoning is the frequency fence is to keep malevolence out, that's a lie. That's just a complete fallacy. It's a fucking lie. Okay, moving on. Does their race require technology to reproduce? And do they use clones for anything? Number one, if they require technology to reproduce, you already know right off that they've fucked up along somewhere down the line, really massively fucked up, because they couldn't fix it. If they still have to use technology to reproduce, it means they didn't have the tools, the benevolent mastery tools within them to heal on a collective level whatever it was that's been devolved to where they have to use technology to reproduce. So whatever that thing is, they couldn't heal it. And if they can't heal it, it means they don't have the tools to heal it. In those kinds of tools, a supposed high vibrational frequency race should be able to do. That shouldn't be an issue. They should have the tools within them, okay, to be healing those kinds. That problem actually shouldn't have, with any spiritually, supposedly high evolved race, they shouldn't need technology. They should be able to do it. Those abilities should be already inherent within them. So if they have to use technology, you already automatically know that they've massively fucked up somewhere down the line. Okay, moving on. Especially if they're using clones. If they have to use clones for anything, your first question is going to be why? What do you use the clones for? Exactly. Be specific. Okay. If they do use technology, what does the technology run on? If they say energy, what kind of energy? And specify your question with question number 1. Is it originating from benevolent beings being tortured, raped, and murdered? Right? Does it have any kind of connections or originations with truly benevolent beings being tortured, raped, and murdered? And if they can't answer your question, if they pause, right? Like they don't know the fucking answer. They do. So if they pause, then that's a red flag. Okay, and then continue to ask your questions. Do they still have a fully functioning emotional body? If they start yapping away about how they've evolved beyond emotions, emotions, well, listen to what they say. Just listen to what they say, because I know in order to manifest organically, it requires having some amount of emotion in order to do that. So I would sincerely listen, or very closely listen to what their answer is to that question, and then use your intuition and what you're picking up on and go from there. If you've determined that the beings that you're dealing with are truly benevolent, devoid of malevolent intent, have they allied with other truly benevolent races to deal with the parasitic infection in this universe? And how's that going? Because we're not seeing any evidence of that here on this planet, due to the artificial frequency fence and all the obstruction and regressions. Okay, and then the next one is, you might as well go ahead and get into questions like, what are they doing? What are the reptilians doing with the cloning centers below ground? What are you doing? What are they doing with the clones, really? Okay, how many cloning centers are there? What are they doing with why are there even cloning centers down there? What are the military using the cloning centers for? What is the military using the clones for? And who are they cloning exactly? And did they get the informed consent of those that they're cloning first? Which they're not. It's been by force. And in which case, then it goes into questions like, well, if they've revoked consent, how is it that universal laws hasn't corrected that issue? Also be prepared if you're asking that question. Make sure you're emotionally prepared. If they are a true benevolent being, make sure you're emotionally prepared to hear the truth of that. And if these whoever you're working with is offering assistance to you, what is their true intent? What is their true intent? What's their motive? Much can be attained by not so much their answer, but how they answer. And do they answer in a timely manner? Do they pause? Do they stutter? Is it a very direct, thorough, detailed answer? Is it logical? Is it logical all the way through? Listen to their answer. Obviously, just like with any human, you're going to be listening for inconsistencies, discrepancies, red flags, things like little splinters that, well, most of it seems true, but maybe not all. Maybe there's just like that tiny little whatever that you're getting a ping on. And ping is PING. Like you're getting a little ping on that there's something wrong with it. There's something off with it. Follow that. It means there's some fuckery in there that you need to follow up on. Okay? So let's see. You might as well ask them outright. Just ask them outright. Are you wearing frequencies, energies, light, rate, and or originating from benevolent beings who have been tortured, raped, and murdered, and then those things were uploaded to an AI system, including any and all astral technologies, any artificial realities that they're working out of in connection with the astral realms? Because this is, when you really start getting into these things, it's a can of worms, right? So you got to be prepared. Like, you're going to be getting red flags all over the place. Make sure you bring a notebook and be writing it down, or get yourself a little video, like not a video, like a voice recorder, and be recording things just for you, just so you have those questions as you ask them, and then whatever their answers, however it is that you respond, you've got all that, recorded so you can refer back to it later. Okay. What are the reptilians really doing in the astral realm and in the artificial realities connected to the astral realm? What are they doing? How do they spend their time in the astral realm? Right? What'd you do that Saturday? How do you spend your time in the astral realm? What do you do there? Right? What kind of activities are the reptilians engaged in the astral realm, in the artificial realities connected to the astral realm? Yeah, we got to know. They've been forcibly torturing, raping, and murdering humans for a very long time. So I'm just saying, we need fucking answers right now. Yeah, we sure do. We got to get to the truth of what's going on this planet, what they've been doing, what the truth is, so we can figure out how we're going to get ourselves out of this fucking abhorrent nightmare shit show of a parasitic farm. Okay? I'm just saying, we're going to need some answers, devoid of lies. Okay, so I'm going to try and get this wrapped up here. So even if if there are things that I've stated that you don't necessarily agree with, or that you question, or that you maybe don't resonate with, or don't like, or don't believe, or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. What I'm trying to say here is that no matter what, you should be asking questions. Hard, logical, critical, detailed, thorough questions to any entity, any being, any group of beings that you're coming up against, or that are approaching you, wanting to communicate with you, wanting to connect to your energy, to connect to your mind. Like, if they're coming towards you, or if there's a group that you want to try and connect with, have your questions ready. Be prepared. Come to the table standing in your true authority, in your true power. Don't be on your knees in reverence. We don't have time for that. What's been forced here and what's been occurring here for like this many millennia, we're past that, bitch, right? We're past that. We need some, it's question time. It's question time. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. If there are things that you don't agree with what I've stated, okay, that's fine. Just make sure that you're do your due diligence, cover your ass, protect your ass, ask your questions, make a list, do whatever, cover your ass, ask your questions ahead of time, and let them know that these are things that you are going to need these answers before you move forward with them, before you move forward in communicating with them, or move forward. You're going to ask your questions before you commit, before you consent. Cover your ass. Get the answers beforehand. It'll save a lot of rape and trauma on your end later on. Okay, I'm just trying to think of what else I wanted to quickly mention here. Also know that any being, here's another way to know, is if they are a truly evolved, higher, benevolent being who claims to be operating out of love. Any higher being operating out of love should be able to connect to your heart chakra directly. Should be able to offer any messages or communications directly to your heart. They don't have to go through the mind. We're love-based beings. We should that's how higher love-based beings communicate, is telepathically, yes, but they also much of the communication is done through the heart chakra. So that's also how you can tell if they won't communicate with you via your heart chakra. That's your red flag. That's how you know that you're dealing with an entity that's not being honest, or being clear, or completely honest with you in who they are. There's something off there. If they're claiming to be a higher evolved race of beings, if they can't communicate directly to you through your heart chakra, it's a red flag, and you need to follow up with your questions. Okay, follow up with your questions. Okay, so I think if there's anything else I need to add, I'll have to do it in another video, and make sure maybe take the time to do some contemplation, using your intuition and your heart and your psychic faculties. If you're gonna, as you're thinking about things, anything that I've stated, make sure you're double checking it and triple checking it against your heart, right? use your logic, your critical maybe there's something I missed as far as logic goes, right? You got to cover your ass if there's something that I missed for whatever reason, that you listen to something I stated and you're like, hey, wait, that doesn't make any sense. You think on it. What did I miss? Right? Did I not think something? Was there something that maybe I haven't thought of all the way through? Right? Question it. Use your own intuition, your own heart, your own logic to if there's some kind of a gap somewhere, or like some part of something that just what I'm saying is I have to be careful how I word things, because they like to use the videos to still try and force their magic. So what I'm saying is just be diligent and use all of your, use your stuff, right? Your logic, your critical thinking skills, your deduction skills, your extrapolation skills, your intuition, your heart, your psychic faculties, to determine the truth of things, is what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. And do the best that you can to take care of yourself and those you love. And until next time.